Years ago, I read an article that listed the three reasons why players make a mistake. One, players aren't good enough. Two, players don't understand what you're asking them to do. Or three, the players don't care. And I've mentioned this in at least one of my books, but I really do try to listen to and learn from this idea. Uh, Even though you might be able to make up other categories, at the end, I think you really can filter them all down into these three reasons. And so when players are making mistakes because they're not good enough yet, and I will tend to expand that and say they're not good enough yet to perform the skill consistently with the same, the precision or the correctness that you desire. That's not a time, in my mind, uh, to criticize a player or to critique the player, uh, you know, or punish the player especially. So a lot of times, you know, players, let's say we have a poor shooting performance at the free throw line. Let's say we're typically on average 75% free throw shooters. In one game we go 5 or 10. All right, so I'm going to punish my players to show how important free throw shooting is. But reality is, 75% shooter, 5 of 10 is well within a normal range. Okay, for every 5 of 10 game, then you're probably going to have, a 10 of 10 or, more or less close to 100% shooting. And that's going to happen through the course of a season because, 10 shots is a fairly small sample size. And so it doesn't mean that the players regressed or they weren't paying attention or they didn't care or anything like that. It's just one of those, streaks that happens during a season. And so punishing a player because, or punishing a team because they didn't make enough free throws, to me that doesn't solve any problem. Because in my eyes, players generally want it to win. They want to play well. They want to perform well. They want to do their best. And that changes occasionally, but for the most part, I think most players sign up for sports and continue in sports and put in the time and effort in sports because they want to improve or get better or win or whatever the case may be. To me, I don't think many players are going out there and shooting and intentionally missing shots or intentionally playing as poorly as they can just to, mess up their own team or prove their parents wrong or something. So, because I generally think that players are there for the right reasons and they're trying, I'm generally not going to, uh, criticize or punish a player for a mistake because, oftentimes the mistake is one of the other two reasons. If they're just not good enough, well, you know, that's what they're there for, is to improve and get better so that they eventually do get good enough. If they don't understand, uh, you know, what I'm asking of them, especially, let's say a practice situation and a drill, to me, that's my mistake. I have to do something. I have to change. It's not the players that have to change. I have to change, whether it's my instruction, my demonstration, my method of delivery. Um, you know, I need to find a way to help to facilitate their understanding. To me, that is coaching. As John Wooden said, you haven't taught until they've learned. And so if I'm saying a lot of things and their behaviors aren't changing, it's likely because they don't understand what I'm asking of them. And so I need to think about how I can explain it differently, or how I can demonstrate it differently, or how I can come about it in a different way to help to facilitate that understanding. When players don't care, if the coach deems that the players don't care, that becomes a tricky one. And that typically is where we see a lot of punishment. If you're not going to play hard, then you're just going to run, things of that nature. But I think we need to understand, why is it that we think that this player doesn't care? Is it a defense mechanism, so they're not giving full effort because they're scared to fail, or fear of failure type thing? Should we punish that, or should we help them and try to come up with a solution that gets towards the fear of failure? Is it that they're unmotivated or demotivated to play or perform? Well, maybe that's the way that the coach is approaching things. Maybe there's a problem between teammates. Maybe the player's having problems in his personal life or his social life or school life, something like that. And just making that player run is just compounding the problem because it's not getting to the real heart of the issue, which is something's wrong in that player's life. And so rather than punishing that player, maybe we need to talk to that player. Maybe that player just needs a friend, needs somebody that they can vent to, something like that. Maybe they're having a problem communicating with the teacher. Maybe a coach can facilitate that. Maybe they're having problems with their parents, and maybe the coach can, find a counselor, or maybe the coach has some experience and can offer, at least a positive comment or a pat on the back or something supportive to help that player. So again, I try to keep these 3 reasons for mistakes in mind. And then as I'm working with players, I'm trying to figure out, well, what is the cause of these mistakes? Is it just simply a lack of skill? We need to keep practicing and trying to find different ways to perform the skill, or is it lack of understanding and I need to change? I need to try a different way of explanation or instruction or demonstration? Or is it that right now they don't care and maybe there's something going on in their life that I need to investigate a little bit as a coach and spend a little time with that player, or maybe give that player a little bit more attention, whether it's on the court or personal attention, on the bus ride or something, finding out what's going on in that player's life. So hopefully we can resolve it, or at least get them, reconnected with the team in some way. So even if their life isn't perfect off the court, when they come in and they're playing, they can hopefully use that as a release and focus on their time on the court, and then once practice is over, they can go back to trying to handle whatever social or life issues are affecting them off the court. So again, it's a good reminder, and it's a good thing to think about that. In most cases, players aren't messing up on purpose. They're trying their best. Mistakes happen, and we need to figure out why the mistakes are happening so we can do our best part to help to move the player forward.